The Book of Job, the Holy Bible, easy to read version. There was a man named Job who lived in the country of Uz. He was a good, honest man. He respected God and refused to do evil. Job had 7 sons and 3 daughters. He owned 7,000 sheep, 3,000 camels, 1,000 oxen, and 500 female donkeys. He had many servants. He was the richest man in the East. Job's sons took turns having dinner parties at their homes, and they invited their sisters. The day after each of these parties, Job got up early in the morning, sent for his children, and offered a burnt offering for each of them. He thought, maybe my children were careless and sinned against God at their party. Job always did this so that his children would be forgiven of their sins. Then the day came for the angels to meet with the Lord. Even Satan was there with them. The Lord said to Satan, "Where have you been?" Satan answered the Lord, "I've been roaming around the earth, going from place to place." Then the Lord said to Satan, "Have you noticed my servant Job? There is no one on earth like him. He is a good, faithful man. He respects God and refuses to do evil." Satan answered the Lord, "But Job has a good reason to respect you. You always protect him, his family, and everything he has. You have blessed him and made him successful in everything he does. He is so wealthy that his herds and flocks are all over the country. But if you were to destroy everything he has, I promise you that he would curse you to your face." The Lord said to Satan, "All right, do whatever you want with anything that he has, but don't hurt Job himself." Then Satan left the meeting. One day, Job's sons and daughters were eating and drinking wine at the oldest brother's house. A messenger came to Job and said, "We were plowing the fields with the oxen, and the donkeys were eating grass nearby, when some Sabaeans attacked us and took your animals. They killed the other servants. I am the only one who escaped to come and tell you the news." That messenger was still speaking when another one came in and said, "A bolt of lightning struck your sheep and servants and burned them up. I am the only one to escape to come and tell you the news." That messenger was still speaking when another one came in and said, "The Chaldeans sent out 3 raiding parties. They attacked us and took the camels. They killed the other servants. I'm the only one who escaped to come and tell you the news." That messenger was still speaking when another one came in and said, "Your sons and daughters were eating and drinking wine at the oldest brother's house. A strong wind suddenly came in from across the desert and blew the house down. It fell on your sons and daughters, and they are all dead. I am the only one who escaped to come and tell you the news." When Job heard this, he got up, tore his clothes, and shaved his head to show his sadness. Then he fell to the ground to bow down before God and said, "When I was born into this world, I was naked and had nothing. When I die and leave this world, I will be naked and have nothing. The Lord gives, and the Lord takes away. Praise the name of the Lord. Even after all this, Job did not sin. He did not accuse God of doing anything wrong. Then another day came for the angels to meet with the Lord. Satan joined them for this meeting with the Lord. The Lord said to Satan, "Where have you been?" Satan answered the Lord, "I've been roaming around the earth, going from place to place." Then the Lord said to Satan, "Have you noticed my servant Job? There is no one on earth like him. He is good, faithful man. He respects God and refuses to do evil. He is still faithful, even though you ask me to let you destroy, without reason, everything he has." Satan answered, "Skin for skin. A man will give everything he has to protect himself. I swear, if you attack his flesh and bones, he will curse you to your face." So the Lord said to Satan, "All right, Job is in your hands, but you are not allowed to kill him." So Satan left the meeting with the Lord and gave Job painful sores all over his body, from the bottom of his feet to the top of his head. Job sat on the pile of ashes where he was mourning and used a piece of broken pottery to scrape his sores. His wife said to him, "Are you still holding on to your faith? Why don't you just curse God and die?" Job answered, "You sound like one of those fools on the street corner. How can we accept all the good things that God gives us and not accept the problems?" So even after all that happened to Job, he did not sin. He did not accuse God of doing anything wrong. Job's 3 friends heard about all the bad things that happened to him. So Eliphaz came from Teman, Bildad from Shuah, and Zophar from Naham. They met together and went to comfort Job and show him their sympathy. But his friends didn't even recognize him when they first saw him in the distance. They began to cry loudly. They tore their clothes and threw dirt in the air over their heads to show how sad they were. Then they sat on the ground with Job for 7 days and 7 nights. They didn't say a word because they saw he was in so much pain. Then Job opened his mouth and cursed the day he was born. He said, "I wish the day I was born would be lost forever. I wish the night they said it's a boy had never happened. I wish that day had remained dark. I wish God above had forgotten that day and not let any light shine on it. I wish that bitter day had remained as dark as death, covered with the darkest clouds. I wish the darkness had carried away that night, that it was left off the calendar and not included in any of the months. I wish that night had produced nothing and no happy shouts had been heard. Some magicians think they can wake Leviathan. So let them say their curse and curse the day I was born. Let that day's morning star be dark. Let that night wait for a morning that never comes. I wish it had never seen the first rays of sunlight. I wish it had stopped me from being born and kept me from seeing all these troubles. Why didn't I die when I was born? Why didn't I die as I came from my mother's womb? Why did my mother hold me on her knees? Why did her breasts feed me? If I had died when I was born, I would be at peace now. I wish I were asleep and at rest with the kings and their advisors who built the palaces that are now in ruins. I wish I were buried with rulers who filled their graves with gold and silver. Why wasn't I a child who died at birth and was put in the ground? I wish I had been buried like a baby who had never seen the light of day. There the wicked stop causing trouble, and the weary find rest. Even prisoners find relief there. They no longer hear their guards shouting at them. Everyone from the greatest to the least important will be there, and even the slave is free from his master. Why must a suffering person continue to live? Why let anyone live such a bitter life? Such people want to die, but death does not come. They search for death more than for hidden treasure. They would be happy to find their grave. They would rejoice to find their tomb. But God keeps their future secret and builds a wall around them to protect them. When it is time to eat, all I can do is sigh with sadness, not joy. My groans pour out like water. I was afraid something terrible would happen, and what I feared most has happened. I cannot calm down or relax. I am too upset to rest. Eliphaz from Teman answered, I must say something. Would it upset you if I speak? Job, you have taught many people. You encouraged those who were ready to quit. Your words helped those who were ready to fall. You gave strength to those who could not stand by themselves. But now trouble comes to you, and you are discouraged. Trouble hits you, and you are upset. You worship God. You trust Him. You are a good man. So let that be your hope. Can you think of any innocent person who is never destroyed? Do you know of any place where good people are punished? Yes, I have seen people whose lives were cut short, but they were evil troublemakers. They lost the breath God gave them. They were cut off from His breath of life. They were like roaring lions, like growling lions with broken teeth, like a lioness that cannot find prey. They died and their cubs starved to death. I happened to hear a message. My ears caught a whisper of it. Like a bad dream in the night, it ruined my sleep. It frightened me, and I trembled down to my bones. A spirit passed by my face. The hair on my body stood up. The spirit stood still, but I could not see what it was. A shape stood before my eyes, and there was silence. Then I heard a quiet voice. A person cannot be more right than God. People cannot be more pure than their Maker. Look, God cannot even trust His heavenly servants. He sees faults even in His angels. So surely people are worse. They live in houses of clay built on dust. They can be crushed as easily as a moth. From dawn to sunset, people are destroyed. They die, gone forever, and no one even notices. The ropes of their tent are pulled up, and they die before gaining wisdom. Job, call out if you want and see if anyone answers, but to which of the angels will you turn? A fool's anger will kill him. His jealousy will destroy him. I saw a fool who thought he was safe, but suddenly he died. There was no one to help out his children. No one defended them in court. Hungry people ate all his crops, even the grain growing amongst the thorns, and greedy people took all he had. Bad times don't come up from the dirt. Trouble does not grow from the ground, but people are born to have trouble, as surely as sparks rise from the fire. If I were you, I would turn to God and tell him about my problems. People cannot understand the wonderful things God does. His miracles are too many to count. He sends rain all over the earth and waters the fields. He raises up the humble and makes sad people happy. He spoils the plans of even the smartest people so that they will not succeed. He catches those who think they are wise in their own clever traps and brings them to an end of their evil plans. Daylight will be like the darkness for them. Even at noon, they will have to feel their way as in the dark. God saves the poor from the hurtful words of the wicked. He saves them from those who are powerful, so that the poor have hope. God shuts the mouths of those who would cause them harm. You are fortunate when God corrects you, so don't complain when God, all-powerful, punishes you. God might injure you, but He will bandage those wounds. He might hurt you, but His hands also heal. He will save you again and again. No evil will harm you. God will save you from death when there is famine. He will protect you from the sword when there is war. People might say bad things about you with their sharp tongues, but God will protect you. He will not be afraid when bad things happen. You will laugh at the destruction and famine. You will not be afraid of wild animals. It is as if you have a peace treaty with the wild animals and the rocks in the field. You will live in peace because your tent is safe. You will count your property and find nothing missing. You will have many children. They will be as many as the blade of grass on the earth. You will be like the wheat that grows until harvest time. Yes, you will live to a ripe old age. We have studied this and know that it is true. So listen to us and learn for yourself. Then Job answered, I wish my suffering could be weighed and all my troubles be put on the scales. They would be heavier than the sands of the sea. That is why my words are so crazy. God all-powerful has shot me with his arrows. My spirit feels their poison. God's terrible weapons are lined up against me. Even a wild donkey does not complain when it has grass to eat, and a cow is quiet when it has food. Food without salt does not taste good, and the white of the egg has no taste. I refuse to touch that kind of food. It makes me sick. I wish I could have what I ask for. I wish God would give me what I want. I wish he would crush me. Just go ahead and kill me. Then I would be comforted by this one thing. Even though all this pain, I never refused to obey the commands of the Holy One. With my strength gone, I have no hope to go on living. With nothing to look forward to, why should I be patient? I am not strong like a rock. My body is not made from bronze. I don't have the power to help myself because all hope of success has been taken away from me. Friends should be loyal to you in times of trouble, even if you turn away from God all-powerful. But I cannot depend on you, my brothers. You are like a stream that has no water when the weather is dry, but is flooded when the rains come. In the winter, it is choked with ice and melting snow, but when the weather is hot and dry, the water stops flowing and the stream disappears. It twists and turns along the way and then disappears into the desert. Traders from Tema search for it. Travelers from Sheba hope to find it. They are sure they can find water, but they will be disappointed. Now you are like those streams. You see my troubles and are afraid. But have I ever asked you to help me? Did I ask you to offer a bribe for me from your wealth? No, I never said, save me from my enemies, or save me from those who are cruel. So now teach me, and I will be quiet. Show me what I have done wrong. Honest words are powerful, but your arguments prove nothing. Do you plan to criticize me? Will you speak more tiring words? Are you the kind of people who would gamble for orphans and sell out your own friends? Now look me in the face and see that I am telling the truth. You need to start over and stop being so unfair. Think again, because I am innocent. I am not lying. I know right from wrong. People have a hard struggle on earth. Their life is like that of a hired worker. They are like a slave looking for cool shade, or a hired worker waiting for payday. Month after frustrating month has gone by. I have suffered night after night. When I lie down, I think, how long before it's time to get up? The night drags on. I toss and turn until the sun comes up. My skin is covered with worms and scabs. It cracks and is covered with sores. My days pass by faster than a weaver's shuttle, and my life will end without hope. God, remember my life is like a breath. I will not get a second chance to enjoy it. Those who see me now will never see me again. You watch me for a while, then I am gone, just as clouds that come and go. People are put in the grave, never to rise again. They don't come back to their old homes. The people there would not know them. So I will not be quiet. I will let my suffering spirit speak. I will let my bitter soul complain. Am I one of your enemies? Is that why you put a guard over me? My bed should bring me comfort. My couch should give me rest and relief. But when I lie down, you scare me with dreams. You frighten me with visions. So I would rather be choked to death than to live like this. I hate my life. I give up. I don't want to live forever. Leave me alone. My life means nothing. God, why are people so important to you? Why do you even notice them? Why do you visit them every morning and test them every moment? You never look away from me or leave me alone for a second. You are always watching us. If I sinned, would that hurt you? Why have you made me your target? Have I become a problem for you? Why don't you just pardon me for doing wrong? Why don't you just forgive me my sins? Soon I will die and be in my grave. You will search for me, but I will be gone. Then Bildad from Shuhah answered, How long will you talk like that? Your words are nothing but hot air. God is always fair. God, all-powerful, does what is right. If your children sinned against God, he punished them. They paid for their sins. But now, look to God and pray to the all-powerful. If you are pure and good, he will quickly come to help you. He will give your family back to you. Then you will have had a lot more than you had in the beginning. Ask those who are now old. Find out what their ancestors learned. It seemed as though they were born yesterday. We were too young to know anything. Our days on earth are very short, like a shadow. Maybe the old people can tell you something. Maybe they will teach you what they learned. Can papyrus grow tall on a dry land? Can reeds grow without water? No, they will dry up before harvest. They will be too small to cut and use. People who forget God are like that. Those who oppose him have no hope. They have put their trust in something weak. It is like a spider's web. When they lean against it, it will break. When they reach out for it, it will not hold them up. Some people are like a vine that gets plenty of water and sunshine, and its branches spread throughout the garden. Its roots spread among the rocks, searching for good soil. But if you move it, it will die, and no one can tell it was ever there. Everything might have been going well, but another vine will take its place. God does not support evil people, and he does not abandon the innocent. So perhaps you might laugh again. Maybe shouts of joy will come from your lips. Maybe your enemies will be humiliated, and the homes of the wicked destroyed. Then Job answered, "Of course, I know that is true. But how can a human being win an argument with God? Anyone who chose to argue with him could not answer one question in 1,000. God is so wise and powerful that no one could oppose him and survive. When God is angry, he moves mountains before they know what happened. He can shake the earth, and it will tremble down to its foundations. With one command, he can stop the sun from rising. He can lock up the stars and keep them from shining. God made the bear Orion and the Pleiades. He does things too marvelous for people to understand. He does too many miracles to count. When he passes by, I cannot see him. He goes right past me and I don't notice. If he takes something away, no one can stop him. No one can say to him, "What are you doing?" God will not hold back his anger. Even Rahab's helper are afraid of him. So I cannot argue with God. I would not know what to say to him. I am innocent, but I cannot give him an answer. All I can do is beg my judge for mercy. Even if I called and he answered, I cannot believe he would listen to me. He would just send storms to crush me. He would give me more wounds for no reason. He would not let me catch my breath again. He would just give me more trouble. I cannot defeat God. He is too powerful. I cannot take him to court for justice. Who would force him to come? I am innocent, but anything I say makes me seem guilty. I am innocent, but if I speak, my mouth proves me wrong. I am innocent, but I don't know what to think. I hate my own life. So I say, does it make any difference? God destroys the innocent as well as the guilty. It is God who laughs when a disaster kills innocent people. Is it God who keeps the leaders from seeing when an evil person takes control? If it's not God, then who is it? My days are passing faster than a runner. They are flying by without any joy. They go by as quickly as papyrus boats, as fast as eagles swooping down on its prey. I could say I will not complain. I will forget my pain and put a smile on my face. But the suffering still frightens me. I know that God will not see me as an innocent. I will be found guilty. So why should I even think about it? Even if I scrub my hands with soap and wash myself whiter than snow, God would still push me into the slime pit. And even my clothes would hate to touch me. God is not human like me, so I cannot argue with him. I cannot take him to court. I wish there were someone who could listen to both sides, someone to judge both of us in a fair way. I wish someone could take away the threat of God's punishment. Then he would not frighten me anymore. Then I could say that what I want without being afraid of him. But I can't do that now. I hate my own life, so I will complain freely. I am very bitter, so I will just speak. I will say to God, don't just say I am guilty. Tell me what you have against me. Do you enjoy hurting me? Do you enjoy ignoring me while smiling at the evil that people say? Do you have human eyes? Do you see things the way people do? Is your life as short as ours? Is your life as short as a man's life? You look for my wrong and search for my sin. You know I am innocent, but no one can save me from your power. Your hands made me and shaped my body, but now they are closing around me and squeezing me to death. Remember, you molded me like clay. Will you turn me into clay again? You poured me out like milk. You spread me around and squeezed me like someone making cheese. You put me together with bones and muscles, and then you clothed me with skin and flesh. You gave me life, and you were very kind to me. You cared for me and watched over my spirit. But this is what you hid in your heart? Now you know. Now I know what you were planning for me. If I sinned, you would be watching me so that you would punish me for doing wrong. If I sin, I am guilty and should be cursed. But even when I am innocent, I can't lift up my head. I am so ashamed because of all the troubles I have. If I have any success and feel proud, you hunt me down like a lion and show your power over me. You bring witness after witness to prove that I am wrong. Again and again you show your anger as you send army after army against me. So why did you let me be born? I wish I had died before anyone saw me. I wish I had never lived. I wish they had carried me from my mother's womb straight to the grave. My life is almost finished, so leave me alone. Let me enjoy the little time I have left. I am going soon to the land of no return, the place of death and darkness, that land of darkness, night of shadows and confusion, where even the light is darkness. Then Zophar from Nahum answered Job and said, this flood of words should be answered. Does all this talking make Job right? Do you think we don't have an answer for you? Do you think no one will warn you when you laugh at God? If you say to God, my arguments are right, and you can see I am pure, I wish God would answer you and tell you you are wrong. He could tell you the secret of wisdom. He could tell you that every story has two sides. You can be sure of this: God is not punishing you as much as he should. Do you think you really understand God? Do you completely understand God all-powerful? That knowledge is higher than the heavens and deeper than the place of death. So what can you do? How can you learn it all? It is greater than the earth and bigger than the seas. If God decides to arrest you and take you to court, no one could stop him. God knows who's worthless. When he sees evil, he remembers it. A wild donkey cannot give birth to a man, and a stupid person will never become wise. Prepare your heart to serve only God. Let your arms and pray for him. Put away the sin that you still hold on to. Don't keep evil in your tent. If you will do that, you could look to God without shame. You can stand strong and not be afraid. Then you can forget your troubles like water that has already passed by. Your life will be brighter than the sunshine at noon. Life's darkest hours will shine like the morning sun. You will feel safe because there is hope. God will protect you and give you rest. You will lie down without the fear of anyone. Many people will come to you for help. Evil people might look for help, but they will not escape their troubles. Their hope leads only to death. Then Job answered them, I'm sure you think you are the only wise people left. You think that when you die, wisdom will be gone with you. But my mind is as good as yours. You aren't any smarter than I am. You haven't said anything that people don't already know. My friends laugh at me now. They say, he prayed to God, and got his answer. I am a good, innocent man, but still they laugh at me. Those who have no troubles make fun of those who do. They hit a man when he's down. But robbers' tents are not to be bothered. Those who make God angry live in peace, even though God has them in his power. But ask the animals and they will teach you, or ask the birds of the air and they will tell you, or speak to the earth and it will teach you, or let the fish in the sea tell you their wisdom. Everyone knows the Lord made these things. Every animal that lives and everyone who breathes, they are all under God's power. But just as the tongue tastes food, the ears test the words they hear. People say, wisdom is to be found in those who are old. Long life brings understanding, but wisdom and power belong to God. Good advice and understanding are his. Anything God tears down cannot be rebuilt. Anyone he puts in prison cannot be set free. If he holds back the rain, the earth will dry up. If he lets the rain loose, it will flood the land. God is strong and always wins. He controls those who fool others and those who are fooled. He strips advisors of their wisdom and makes leaders act like fools. He strips kings of their authority and he makes them slaves. He strips priests of their power and removes those who feel so secure in their positions. He makes trusted advisors be silent. He takes away the wisdom of the older leaders. He brings disgrace to important people. He takes power away from rulers. He exposes even the darkest secrets. He sends light into places that are as dark as death. God makes nations great, and then he destroys them. He makes nations grow large, and then he scatters their people. He makes their leaders foolish. He makes them wander around in the desert. They are like someone feeling their way in the dark. They are like drunks who don't know where they are going. I've seen all this before. I've already heard everything you say. I understand all these things. I know as much as you do. I am as smart as you are. But I don't want to argue with you. I want to speak to God, all-powerful. I want to argue with God about my troubles. But you men try to cover up your ignorance with lies. You are like worthless doctors who can't heal anyone. I wish you would just be quiet, that you would be the wisest thing you could do. Now listen to my argument. Listen to what I have to say. Will you speak lies for God? Do you really believe your lies are what God wants you to say? As you are trying to defend God against me? You're not being fair. You're choosing God's side simply because he's God. If God checked you very closely, you would see that you were right. Do you really think you can fool God the same as you fool people? You know that God would criticize you if you chose someone's side simply because they were important. God's majesty frightens you. You are afraid of him. The wise sayings you quote are worthless. Your arguments are as weak as clay. Be quiet and let me talk. I accept whatever happens to me. I will put myself in danger and take my life in my own hands. I will continue to trust God, even if he kills me. But I will defend myself to his face. And if he lets me live, it will be because I had the confidence to speak. No guilty person would dare meet God face to face. Listen carefully to what I say. Let me explain. I am ready now to defend myself. I will carefully present my arguments. I know I will be shown to be right. If anyone can prove I am wrong, I will shut up and I will wait to die. God, just give me 2 things, and then I will not hide from you. Stop punishing me, and don't frighten me with your terrors. Then call to me, and I will answer you, or let me speak, and you will answer me. How many sins have I committed? What wrongs have I done? Show me where I went wrong or how I sinned. God, why do you avoid me and treat me like your enemy? Are you trying to scare me? I am only a leaf blowing in the wind. You are attacking a piece of straw. You have a list of terrible charges against me. Are you making me suffer for the sins I did when I was young? You have put chains on my feet. You watch every step I take. You see every move I make. So I am becoming weaker and weaker, like a piece of wood rotting away, like a piece of cloth being eaten by moths. We are all human beings. Our life is short and full of trouble. Our life is like a flower that grows quickly and then dies away. Our life is like a shadow that is here for a short time and then is gone. God, do you need to keep an eye on something so small? Why bother to bring the charges against me? No one can make something clean from something so dirty. The length of our life has been decided. You alone know how long that is. You have set the limits for us, and nothing can change them. So stop watching us. Leave us alone, and let us enjoy this hard life until we have put our time in. There is always hope for a tree. If it is cut down, it can grow again. It will keep sending out new branches. Its roots might grow old in the ground and the stump die in the dirt. But with water, it will grow again. It will grow branches like a new plant. But when a man dies, he becomes weak and sick, and he is gone, like a lake that goes dry, or a river that loses its source. So people lose their lives, never to live again. The sky will all pass away before they rise from death. The skies will disappear before anyone wakes up from that sleep. I wish you would hide me in my grave. I wish you would hide me there until your anger is gone. Then you could pick a time to remember me. If a man dies, will he live again? If so, I will gladly suffer through this time waiting for my release. God, you would call me, and I would answer you. Then I, the one you made, would be important to you. You would still watch every step I take, but you would not remember my sins. It would be as if you sealed my sins in a bag. It would be as if you had covered my guilt with plaster. Mountains fall and crumble away. Large rocks break loose and fall. Water flowing over stones wears them down. Floods wash away the soil on the ground. In the same way, God, you destroy the hope people have. You defeat them completely, and then they are gone. You change the way they look and send them away forever to the place of death. If their sons are honored, they will never know it. If their sons do wrong, they will never see it. They only feel the pain in their bodies, and they alone cry for themselves.